Of course, it figures that while I'm streaming something, Genshin Impact would drop a new trailer, and by the time I find out about it, it's already like 3 a.m. I'm trying to go to bed, and I'm not going to get back up and record anything. So, after a long day of work at my 2 jobs, I'm back, I'm here, and we're going to react to it. Now, just based off of the thumbnail alone, this has got to do something with, like, either the Primordial one or the Four Shades, or something about, like, maybe Nibelung or something, because I don't recognize that figure from anywhere. And we're going to start off by going into the description, which some of you don't like that I do, but a lot of you also like that I do. And if you'd like to see more content like this, we're going to be doing a lot more. And I have like an entire backlog of stuff that is pre-recorded and slowly going to make its way uploaded to the channel. But this one, because of how late I am to the party, which is, by the way, only 1 day late at this point, it's going to jump the line and I'm going to upload this a little bit sooner than some of the other stuff I have planned. Just because timing of the essence is for something like as big as an Interlude teaser. The last time we got a chapter Interlude teaser was it the Final Feast? I want to say it was the Final Feast for Fontaine. And if it wasn't, it was the Fatui Harbinger debut in A Winter Night's Lotso in, what was it, 2.8. Which was before I actually started playing the game, so this might be pretty big. So, Teyvat Chapter Interlude Teaser. The Gods' Limits. So with a name like that, okay, I'm probably leaning more towards the capital G gods of the Genshin universe, like the Shades, the people that govern the laws of the universe. In the Council of Gods, no mortal voice is ever heard. That's not good. And thus was the fate of the world arbitrarily determined. We know that such is the way of the world. But do the gods act out of contempt? Or have they, at some hour, begun to act out of fear? VA, Ruler of Death, Renova. Yep, this is the Shades. Aiden Dawn, we've actually heard their voice before. Gold Rhine-Daughter, Ivy Dupler, which we learned recently in the Paralogism quest, which was a huge fucking lore bomb for them to drop at the fucking end of that quest, that they are the Shade of Life now, because they ate the heart of something or other. Ruler of Life, Nibirius. That's the one. Ivy Dupler. 2 characters of the same VA, so that's... Maybe we're going to see Rhine-Daughter become the Ruler of Life in this trailer. Ruler of Time, Istaroth, Erica Harlacher, which is Venti's VA. Oh, the Venti is... Istaroth theories never end, do they? And Director of the Fatui, the Jester Piero. Richard. Okay, so it looks like we don't get anything out of... I feel like we're missing some of the shades. I see life, death, time, and I don't see space, and I don't see the primordial ones. We're missing 2. Oh well. Well, let's see what we got going on here. Oh my god, this is giving me Alice in Wonderland vibes. The girl sitting under the tree. Story time, Grandma!
This world has always been so. Life abides no reason, for none are born by their own consent.
Okay.
Death abides no reason.
Okay, I want to back that up real quick.
Oh. Life abides.
So this has got to be Nibirius. Life abides no reason. So this is life,
no reason,
and we cut to Renova, who is death immediately afterwards.
Born by their own consent.
None are born by their own consent.
Death
That's a famous phrase.
No reason.
Death abides no reason.
For it cannot be defied, even by those who see it coming.
It's the big eyes.
Time abides no reason.
So this is Istaroth's design, huh?
Us all equally, yet brooks not a second to be reclaimed.
Brooks not a second.
Space abides
Space!
no reason.
So yeah, we got some hints of it during the Natlan story quest that space was indeed the sustainer of heavenly principles. So this is the god of space. Which we have gotten no closer to meeting at this point. Although we did see a sneak peek of them at the Space and Time for You. Oh, they interrupted her.
Hides no reason.
Oh no, are they about to get nailed?
The ruler of space stopped the golden-haired twin travelers and mercilessly tore them apart.
That's the opening cutscene right there. Oh no. So is this Rhine-daughter we're hearing right now? Probably not. Remember, they nuked an entire country for reading a book of Beyond Sun and Moon, so I don't exactly like these gods. Oh! Well, that's Renova.
No. This looks more like Rhine-daughter's doing. Please don't litter other people's spaces with your bizarre creations.
That looks... So that's Nibirius slash Rhine-daughter.
Unsurprisingly, all life here has been rendered unstable, tainted by the ruler of space.
Those remind me of the souls from, like, Soul
I have seen
Eater.
enough to know that repeating this experiment would be fruitless.
Whoa!
You seem to wield my power as if it were nothing but a plaything for your amusement. Although merging with you has stripped me of agency, I shall still continue to voice my disapproval. My dear Rhine-daughter,
So
you
that's...
have my respect, Nibirius.
So this is Nibirius and
Your
Rhine-daughter.
nagging is one of the only things that can get under my skin.
And you, Istaroth? Why did you bestow history upon them?
History, huh?
I had to find some way to pass the time, did I not?
Oh,
After
come on.
all, it's clear that Asmodee is not here.
Asmodee.
Well, perhaps you
Asmodee
could
must
share
be
your
space,
input a
then.
little earlier next time. But you're right. There's no trace of Asmodee here.
Then where is she?
Gone. Anyway, it's time I put this space out of its misery.
Oh, those hands remind me of Arlecchino. Her hair kind of reminds me of Paimon's hair, too, actually. So we're still following... Is this... Okay. Who's wearing the draping outfit?
These meetings are just a formality.
Okay.
Does it really matter that
So
only
that's
3 of
Istaroth
us are
still?
here?
I, for one, think that we should find her. Since the heavenly principles cast us as shades, not one of us has ever missed a meeting.
What if
Oh, we're beginning to meet the Heavenly Principles?
she just switched sides?
Switch sides? To
Finding
who?
her would do more harm than good.
Now there's an interesting idea. Better than being devoured.
Just switched sides?
Switch sides to
You make
whose
it
side?
sound like such a trivial affair. We are shades, shadows of the heavenly principles. It's
Where's the primordial
unthinkable.
one? I want to meet them.
Unless she loves her new master more than her own self.
Her new master? Who?
Renova, do you know that you're being watched?
By whom? Whose gaze could pierce this far?
Oh, that's a cool fade. That's a cool effect. Of course it's you.
I remember those eyes. It was just before I placed the curse of immortality.
Why'd you do that, by the way? you remember him, but not the captain? You know, I think we've gotten more insight into the disaster in Conria in this 30 seconds than we have in, like, all of Genshin.
Yes. He's an old acquaintance of mine. I'm sure that working for the Tsaritsa has helped him let go of his past obsessions.
That's right, Rhine-daughter and the
Cryo
Jester should be
Archon.
acquainted.
With her paltry powers, she dares set her gaze on the heavenly principles.
Probably plans to usurp them.
The heavenly principles have yet to awaken. If I were her, I wouldn't pass on that opportunity either. My dear Rhine daughter, you know I cannot allow you to think that way.
So robotic.
It was purely hypothetical, Nibirius.
For lack of a direct order, I say it's time we intervened. Of course, to the extent permitted by the rules.
What extent is that? Are we dropping a nail? No more nails. No more dead civilizations. Oh, Nodcry! Heroes and Nodcry.
The gaze of the gods has always been considered a blessing.
Now I'm thinking about Star Rail.
Hence the origin and meaning of visions.
Interesting.
People have always yearned for the gaze of the gods. And yet, it is said that when mortals look directly upon the gods, they invite their wrath and retribution.
You're just walking the earth, aren't you?
And what of it? Lives will be lost, a nation brought to ruins. So be it. It is nothing I have not endured before.
What is this, Mecha Fontaine?
I already know the price of gazing upon the gods.
Cataclysm.
So tell me, what is the price of killing a god? The god stays silent, as if the thought had never once crossed his mind.
His
To
mind.
all those who dare not look up to the heavens, Her Majesty the Tsaritsa says this. Behold. Even the gods have their limits.
Is he gonna, like, blow up Celestia or something? Is that what's gonna happen at Nodcry? Oh, there's more.
Inspection over. Return to your posts.
Okay. That guy's tall.
Make sure the Frostmoon Scions don't pose a threat.
Oh, conflict.
Per the Pale Star Edict, we are to retrieve the damselette from Nodcry, whatever it takes.
Oh. Retrieve the damselette. Okay. Interesting. So this whole theory of Columbina possibly being an angel might have a lot of merit all of a sudden. Okay. I didn't realize this was an 8.5-minute trailer. Wow, that was long. I guess we should go back and look through it. There was a lot of yapping. It was a lot of talking. But it was each and every word I could hang on. I was not bored. Oh, it wants me to watch. If I hit the next video, it's Brand's reaction to just what we're watching right now. Alright, let's drop it and start at the beginning and work our way to the beginning. So we have this strange, unstable life, which kind of takes the form of like an oil canvas painting almost, where they're reading a book that teaches us about life. This is apparently Nibirius. I like that they have like a weird digital screen type effect, which we do see later in the trailer when Nibirius talks to the person that they're currently fused to, which is Rhine-daughter. And I do think that I like that they're portraying life in this weird orb-like flame. It reminds me, as I already mentioned, like the way that they depict souls in the Soul Eater manga. And we can see Nibirius is still technically alive, air quotes, communicating to Rhine-daughter through these weird screens that we saw right here at the beginning. And I do like this famous phrase, "None are born by their own consent," which is a something that kind of gets brought up constantly if you follow politics about the idea of the legality of abortion, whether you're pro-life or pro-choice. You've probably heard the phrase, none are born by their own consent. We don't get to pick who our parents are. We don't get to choose to be born or not. It's a common phrase and a common saying that is often brought up in debates among the right to life or the right to personhood. Now, Renova is probably the shade we know the most about, obviously because they had the weird, shocking, surprising showing up at the end of the Natlan Archon quest. We still don't know why they cursed the Condrians with immortality. We just know that they did, and that the rules require them to uphold that for some reason. The weird... What do they call this? An ahoge? A hoj? The stupid hair. The long flowing white hair in this pattern with the weird off-moon looking thing reminds me of Paimon's hairstyle. And she has got this eye imagery all over her design. It's even in her arms. And her arms also remind me of, I mentioned it already, the corrosion that we see on Arlecchino's arms. And there is, if you read into the lores with like the book Perinieri, she has a lot of connections and allusions to the Crimson Moon of Conria. Which the Crimson Moon dynasty being the dynasty that preludes the Black Sun dynasty. And I'm sure that if this didn't confirm Arlecchino's connection to the Crimson Moon and the connection to Renova, people are going to have a hard time denying it after this trailer just came out. And then we get Istaroth's design. I like the fact that it's got the clock hands all over it, the giant clock face that they're kneeling in front of, the long flowing hair, and it's also interesting with the weird mobile design, the astrolabe that they have above them as a halo. That's actually kind of cool. And as I've already talked about from reading the description earlier, apparently they're voiced by Eric Allicher, the voice of Venti, which is only going to make people allude the two, or possibly that Venti is actually Istaroth the whole time, is the very popular theory that's been going on since before I was playing the game. The ruler of space has stopped the golden-haired twin travelers, and I do like the way that this animation plays out. Actually mimics the opening cutscene of Genshin Impact, where you would choose whether you're playing as Aether or Lamine, because they ultimately fight against, which was roughly confirmed during the Natlan story, that the Sustainer of Heavenly Principles was probably the Shade of Space. And this more or less hard confirms it for those who didn't confirm it themselves through learning into the deep dive of the lore. And I'm sure this name Asmodee, which we see them talking about later in the trailer, is something that was also revealed at some point. That being said, it also might have been something that was like read from the code or something. I don't remember at any point if the name Asmodee has been brought up, but the fact that they refer to them as Asmodee in this, there's no trace of Asmodee here. This more or less confirms, for those who don't follow the lore at least, that Asmodee is this Shade of Space. Where she is and which side she switched to, though, who knows? Like, whose side is Celestia on, to be honest? They seem to be just here to preserve a set of rules. Rules don't exactly have a side. It's like saying you're against the laws of nature. Or like, you're against the laws of space and time. It's like, the laws of space and time are not on anybody's side. They just kind of are. So anyway, Asmodee is MIA, which is something interesting. The Heavenly Principles are still asleep. So I wonder if they all introduce themselves as the Sustainer of Heavenly Principles. Because technically they are all Shades. Because during the fight at the beginning of the game, the Sustainer of Heavenly Principles introduced themselves as that. The Sustainer of Heavenly Principles. But technically all four of the Shades are Sustainers of Heavenly Principles. The principles of life, death, time, space, And then there's the primordial one, which I have no clue where they are either. Which I'm surprised we didn't get a name drop with them. Which, Fanis, for those who have read Beyond Sun and Moon. Or Fanes, depending on pronunciation. We are shadows of the heavenly principles. The shades. And the fact that they were able to sense that Piero was giving them the death glare from Nodcry is kind of something in and of itself. So there's the cubes, which means the fact that Renova is here, I think it probably is safe to assume that all 4 of the shades were probably at the destruction of Conria at this point. I don't know if it was ever confirmed if Renova was here before this moment, but it was pretty much assumed since they were probably the one that gave the Curse of Immortality, and this is pretty much plain as day. We see her do it here, and she says that she did it here. She, has, the most nonchalant, I don't care attitude I've ever seen drawn on a face. And then we have Rhine-Daughter / getting scolded by Inner Nibirius again, commenting on the fact that, Piero has probably changed his, looking at life from his time now spent with the Tsaritsa. He's now basically been with the Tsaritsa for an estimated 500 years. I don't know how quickly after the events of the Cataclysm that he ended up in the Tsaritsa's care. I would like to imagine there might be a 5 to 10 year gap, but it's 500 years at longest. And I wonder what his past obsessions were before, because he used to be an advisor to the King of Conria. And now I'm worried. For lack of a direct order, it's time we intervene. If they're going to start intervening, I'm a little bit worried about what they're going to do, because these effectively might end up being the big bads at the end of the story. The Fatui have been set up as a villain this entire story, but the Fatui's primary antagonist apparently is Celestia. So these are who they're going to take down. And I feel like the defeat of Renova is what's going to eventually end the Curse of Immortality. So I do expect Renova to be a boss fight at some point. She's definitely the one who's been built up the most. Rhine-Daughter has also been built up the most as the one that, depending on which source you look at, is currently blamed for causing the Cataclysm in the first place. And now that we know that Rhine-Daughter has fused with Nibirius and become the Shade of Life, I wonder if they caused the Cataclysm before or after that had occurred. I'm not entirely sure. And in most recent events, Istaroth is somewhat responsible for the Space and Time with You Archon quest that we did, where the old Conria got, I guess, data space overlaid with the ley lines of current Natland, which caused a weird bootstrap paradox that I'm kind of annoyed about. Old man yells at Istaroth. That's me. Old man yells at Istaroth. And I am really curious to where we go from here. We get a lot of good shots of Nodcry. We get some nice closer ups of the new Fatui designs. The Pale Star Edict did say that all the Fatui Harbingers will be in Nodcry, which is a huge deal. Because, one of the Fatui Harbingers is the mayor of Snezhnaya, so it's he never leaves Snezhnaya. So we might actually get to see Piero, not just Piero, but Puccinella we're probably going to get to see in the flesh soon. Puccinella being the first Harbinger ever revealed. And Piero says, "Behold, even the gods have their limits." Meaning, there's limits to what the gods can do. They are bound by the rules of the heavenly principles. They can't seem to go against them. And Piero intends to take advantage of that somehow. Which makes me think that there's going to be some sort of super weapon that's being cooked up in Nodcry, and they might blow up Celestia. Try to invoke the wrath of the heavenly principles. Who knows? We're basically approaching the end game. The story is getting really, really crazy. We're rapidly approaching the end, and we're not even in Snezhnaya yet. Nodcry is basically going to be the thing that ties up all the loose ends before we get to our final war with Celestia. And then we actually have a post-credit scene to talk about here. We got all the way back here, but it appears that the mission for the Fatui and Nodcry seems to be tied to retrieve the damselette from Nodcry, whatever it takes. And she's glitching out, which is an effect that we do see with Arlecchino as well. Arlecchino is glitching out, which means we might finally be getting some explanations to why there's characters like Arlecchino that are glitching out. What is causing that? Is it because they have, like, ties to an alternate reality? Are they linked to one of the shades? Is that what causes the glitching out? So if Arlecchino is linked to, let's say, Renova, for lack of a better option, who would Columbina be linked to? Well, my theory, I guess we'll put it on the table here. Because Asmodee was the one that seems to be missing, and nobody knows, what are the odds that Damselette is Asmodee, or in some way maintaining the powers of Asmodee? They said that she has switched sides, and the current enemies of Celestia right now would be the Fatui. So, has the Sustainer of Heavenly Principles turned into a Fatui Harbinger that is now Columbina? Who knows? If you go all the way back in my playthrough, all the way back to my beginning of my playthrough of Sumeru, I proposed a theory that because the Heavenly Principles has been asleep for so long that nobody's seen them, what if Paimon is the Heavenly Principles? And they just became weaker, or they exhausted their power during the Cataclysm 500 years ago, and has now just been wandering around as a little fairy. And that's what Paimon is. And that theory hasn't really been super disproven yet. The odds of Paimon being a piece of, or like one of the shades, or like the Heavenly Principles themselves, is very likely. She definitely has a connection, and Renova's design looks pretty similar to Paimon's design, except for Paimon's design seems a little bit brighter and cheerier. And people have always been pointing out how Paimon's design looks very similar to the Sustainer of Heavenly Principles. And now that we've seen all of their designs, Paimon's design does fit in with that group. So is Paimon like a little angel? There's something that I hope that gets answered by the end of Nodcry. Anywho, I feel like I'm done here. I'm going to try to edit this out so I can have it up before the end of the night. If you'd like to see more of my React content, there is a playlist on the YouTube channel. And if you'd like to see me when I go live, it's twitch.tv/sheetstreams, links to which are in the description. Be sure to join the Discord if you want to know when I'm going to go live and what I'm doing when I go live. And with that, we're done with our plugs. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.